Hello everybody and welcome to this video featuring Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. Today we're going to be talking about the patch notes coming during the maintenance on 12/28. First and foremost, they have some improvements. I'm not going to go through all of these because it's going to take far too long to go over all of them and that would make this video too long. But I will say that there is some very good quality of life changes, such as being able to move some of the UI options that you couldn't do before, as well as who gets credit for killing a monster, which makes Season Pass grinding a lot easier. The thing I do want to talk about, though, is the balance adjustments. First and foremost, it's something that is talked about on the various discussion boards very often. It's that the warrior is either strong or overpowered. Now, I don't agree that the warrior is overpowered, but I will say that it is a lower or easier skill cap compared to some of the other classes, and this adjustment falls in line. And when I say straightforward, I mean it is the warrior's job to get in close, slash, dash, and get those melee kills. As I said, this is an adjustment. They decreased the modifier on the first two attacks and increased the modifier on the third. What that means is overall the damage is the same. Now that means that the skill cap is going up because now you have to hit all three attacks in order to get the big chunk of damage. Before, the big chunk was right around the middle of the attacks. Now you have to land all three. That brings the skill cap closer to in par with some of the other classes. Speaking of other classes, let's move on to the Ranger. Assess is buffed. The visual range has been brought down, or sorry, the visual duration has been brought down, but the range of the effect as well as the duration of the effect is increased. This makes the Ranger a pretty much must pick in party right now, because this is the one thing the Ranger was good at, was marking the enemies on the map in order to move around and outmaneuver them. And now it's even stronger than it was before. You're going to be able to scout a farther distance, and this is a really strong quality of life buff to the Ranger. Moving on to the Monk. Melee attacks buffed. Increased the aim assist range, increased the attack damage. Now, what they mean by the aim assist range is the indicator is going to show up similar to the warrior, where you can see it and then you get a dash attack. Now it's going to lock on sooner, and it's going to make it a little easier to use the Monk's attacks in melee. That, along with the inner strength buff, added a 10% increased movement speed effect that triggers once you reduce 20% health or less. Now this goes along with the other things that you get on inner strength, and that is a critical strike with all your melees as well as a health regeneration. And I feel these two buffs right here are going to make it so the Monk is a viable option in the melee range as opposed to a warrior. Now, I'm not saying that it's better than a warrior or on par with a warrior, but I think it's going to be a good option in a melee situation, and I really like this. Now, the next buff on Monk is something that I really want to talk about, and I need some opinions on this because Mana Wall buffed. Players can no longer pass through the wall and then increase the durability. I like the durability increase, but players no longer being able to pass through it is going to be very interesting because you can make some cool plays where I'm going to lock the enemy in this small little spot, shoot some thunder, shoot some comments, shoot some fireball, and it's going to have a good time. But then I see some other situations where I'm going to accidentally block my party into somewhere, and the enemy is going to get them, and they're going to be very mad at me. So I see a double-edged sword situation here. I need some opinions. Do you guys think this thing is good or bad? It's going to be very interesting to see how it happens. And the final class change here is Ninja. The hide is buffed. The flame is no longer like a solid thing on the screen that moves around. Now it has a flicker effect. So it's a lot harder to see it. And I say harder, I don't know what it's going to look like yet. We'll see in-game. Before it was really easy to see, so now it makes it so it's a little harder. But I think the bigger quality of life change is items can now be obtained and used while hide is in effect. That is huge. Now the ninja can disappear, heal, get back into the fight, and it's just being able to maneuver around the game like that is going to be huge for the hide. And I really think this is a good buff for the ninja, and the ninja's viability just went up. Next up, we have a Materia buff, and that is gravity. Now, this I feel like is a huge change and I think that it's going from a warrior counter to almost a must-play materia. Um, Movement speed reduction effect increase versus chocobos. So chocobos are pretty much locked down in gravity now. Arrow no longer is active while in gravity. Now you can't use that as an escape. You can't put down an arrow and shoot yourself out of it. And then materia style abilities can no longer be used while affected by gravity. Pretty much if you get caught by gravity now, you are stuck. You are locked down in there. And I see that gravity play just went up like skyrocketed because not only is it a counter to warrior, but now if you put it down in the right situation, you lock down all the classes, and it is a very strong materia to have now. And the final thing that they're going to be doing is some bug fixes. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will touch on a couple of them. When entering a match or restarting the app, the active control layout would revert to layout 1 even if you had layout 2 or 3 selected. This is big for me because I use both mobile controls as well as controller. And sometimes I forget to switch back and forth, and now it's not always going to revert me back to 1. It's kind of, if I'm on 2, I'm using my mobile and I want to play another game, I don't have to worry about that. That's a good thing to change. It's a good fix. And then the other one I wanted to talk about is in some conditions, some buttons would become stuck in a press down state even after releasing them when using a controller. This is super big. I talked about it in another video where I hold down my Materia button, I throw down a spell, and then I let it go, and it still thinks I'm holding down my Materia button. I press the shoot button, it's my fireball instead, and I blow myself up. It's happened a bunch of times. I am so happy to see this fixed, and all of these bug fixes are very good quality of life changes, and I'm happy to see all of them. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure you like, subscribe, and follow on my various social media accounts. I personally like a lot of these changes. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about these changes. And again, thank you for watching.